How to make patterns in your Pom Pom with Loome. What you'll need are your Loome tool, scissors, embroidery floss or crochet yarn for your tight center knot, and any yarn that you have around. This is going to be quite a fast video. I'm just going to show you how to get these patterns into your Pom Pom. So I have a whole bunch of yarn scraps here, and this type of Pom Pom is made mostly of yarn scrap, both of them. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'll do is I'll go over how to get different effects. So when we're looking at a Pom Pom like this, where you have, this is the middle, this is what's you wind first. So in this case, it's pink and purple. I'm just gonna take some yarn scraps that I have, and this is so fun because it looks really, really cool. What I like to do is I just take whatever yarn scraps I have, I put the ends all together, and I just start winding. I don't really think about it too much. I do, though, make sure that I like the colors that's going to be in my Pom Pom. And in these two cases, see how these Pom Poms are really light and kind of lively with a lot of splashes of color, but there's a lot of white yarn here. So the only yarn that you need that's not scrap is whatever the majority color it's going to be, and in this case, I use a white yarn. All right, so see, I have three kind of yarn scraps here. They're all of different lengths. You could secure it to any of the notches that you like. I'm so used to not attaching it that I'm just gonna wind. Okay. So in this case, when you want a clump in the middle of color, you just wind a whole bunch of yarn together. Depending, you want to be a total of maybe 15 or 20 revolutions across all yarn. So if I'm using, let's say 4 yarn colors, you just go 5 revolutions around for 20. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to splash it with a lot of pink. So I'm going to take my pink yarn, pull them up together. As usual, I'm going to, as I wind, I'm going to put this in a bowl. Okay, so I'm just going to wind. I'm going to go probably about 10 revolutions. When you see blocks, more blocks of color like this, that means you actually wind a lot of yarn. When it's just a tiny bit, it just means you probably went like probably 2 or 4 revolutions. Okay, here we go. It'll be a lot of pink. Secure it, cut. Now I'm just going to do a splash of this fluorescent green, and what that will look like is, if you see here, see how there's small splashes of it? All I do is I wind it like this, and I'm just going to wind it all over across. I'm just going to go a total of 6 revolutions, and then it's going to leave those tiny specks of dots everywhere in that color. Now I'm going to cover it with some white yarn just to get some solid going. So I'm going to probably go here about 40 revolutions maybe. So, you know, I like to call this random winding, which means, you know, don't overthink it, play around, use your scraps up. You know, it always comes out really, really well and really, really distinctive. All right, so now I'm gonna move to this type of Pom Pom. See how there are chunks of different color here? So I did coral with orange. And then here it's light blue with dark blue, and then there's clumps of different color like green or yellow. So let's pretend we're going to do something like this that's a little bit speckled. So I'm going to take a blue. Let's say I have grays, because let's say I don't, you know, let's say I don't have white, light blue. So what you would do is you would take these together, 2 ends, and then you would actually wind. And when you wind, you don't want to go all over the place. You actually want to stay in one area, building up. And when you build up, it's gonna create this clump of blue and gray. So it'll look something similar to this, but clearly with gray instead. And then, you know, with something like this, with a project like this, you just keep going, depending on what look you like. But I just wanted to show you the differences between, you know, getting clumps of one color, speckles of, let's say, fluorescent, or like a chunk of mixed color. So that's how it would look. And then you would finish like you would with any orb pom-pom, which is tying your tight center cord and then trim. And that's how you get your pattern pom-poms.